In a world controlled by massive corporations, a steady aim and split-second decisions are needed for your megacon to complete its goals. Begin your missions at the Mercs Hub on beastsofwar.com. Become a general of mighty armies at the Kings of War Hub. Take command of elves, dwarves and orcs in this game of masked fantasy combat on beastsofwar.com.
Hi everybody, welcome to What's in the Box. As you can see, I'm joined by the mighty Chaz and Rich from Warlord Games, and today we're talking Konflikt 47. It's time for some Weird World War, gentlemen. So, Rich, tell me, what exactly is it we're having a look at today?
Today we're having a look at this. This is one of the first releases for Konflikt 47. This is the German Army starter set. So let's just dive straight in, I think, into the goodies. So, Chez, if I start opening, what have we got in here?
Absolutely. Well, I've actually got the book out to one side as well, because we obviously the more copies of the book, the better. You get a full softback rulebook, which is exactly the same page count as the hardback edition, just smaller.
I'll have a quick look here. I'll quickly show it under close camera.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, I love the art style that you guys have went for with this. It's very, very cool, and some of the actual artwork in this book just really jumps out at you.
Yeah.
I kind of feel really sorry for the poor little allied guy who's just had his tank ripped open like a sardine tin.
Yeah, you don't want to mess with these guys. I mean, genetically engineered and occult stuff throughout for the Germans are very, very cool.
Well, I mean, like, very quickly, why has Konflikt 47 happened? Why have we moved beyond the end of the war? What has kept it going?
Well, in this case, it's a slightly alternate universe. So in 43, the first testing of the bombs go off in New Mexico, and a rift appears. So there's this weird energy that nobody knows where it's coming from, and there's some signals that are coming through that are maybe being translated correctly, or some of them are being lost. But sooner rather than later, the Americans can get hold of like different kinds of tech, and it spawns this whole new range of weaponry that they think they've got on their own. Now, obviously, another bomb goes off over Germany, trying to end the war. Well, this opens another rift. The Germans get hold of it. They very, very quickly use that intelligence to create genetically engineered soldiers and strange.
Right, mad scientists. My
favourite. Everywhere. The Germans got to do it. The Russians get upset. They declare war on the US because they won't share the secrets of them, and so the war goes it spirals out of control. And all of a sudden, between 45 and 47, the war doesn't end at that point because this new tech keeps them all in the war, and the things they discover is just fantastic.
All right, well, let's move on with what we're getting in our starter set here. So what's the next thing that we come to, Rich?
Well, this is a full-on starter set. So obviously you start off with, as we do with a lot of our starter sets, a full-on play sheet. So this one is printed on hard cardstock.
This is one of the best things you guys do. Having a very nice, clean little cheat sheet that the player can actually just grab straight out of the box and not constantly be flicking through the rulebook. This is the best thing anyone can stick into any starter box. Yeah,
real genius from the studio a few years ago when we needed the level to divide the rulebook from crushing the plastics. It's not a particularly heavy rulebook, but you really don't want it rattling around at the same time as the plastics. You don't want to scuff the book in that. So they had this layer in there, and why not use it for other things? So they started printing things on it. You've got a ruler on there, a 10-inch ruler, just in case you don't have one. Most people do, I know, but the cheat sheet itself being in good hard stock, cardstock is
well,
it's
the
really
number
useful.
of guys I know that have went away and actually laminated this after the fact, to actually just keep it that little bit nicer. It's just super handy.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, what's next in the box?
Well, we should probably move on to some of the real goodies of this. So we start off with a couple of sprues you might be familiar with if you play bolt action. So we've got the core sprues from our plastic Panzer IV kits.
All right, well, we all know what's on these, but I'll quickly run through them. So, on the first sprue, we've got all of our track sections. We've got some spare tracks, some entrenching tools, gun cleaning kit, commander's cupola, another cupola. I believe this is just some armor plate. We've got the rear stowage bin for the turret. We've got the lower hull, we've got the lower turret, and we've got the upper turret on the first one. On the second one, I'm just going through this at lightning speed, so keep up. We've got the main suspension system and drive sprockets here. I believe this is back of the engine bay, yes, gents?
Yes.
We've then got drive sprockets over here, return wheel over here, gun mantlet here, 2 variants for guns, although you probably won't need them. Commander, what is this little bit?
It's a fuel tank, I believe.
Okay. Yeah. We've then got the main hull of the tank itself. We've then got this, which I believe is, what is that? Is that side stowage bins?
Yeah, they are stowage bins for the side, yeah.
Okay, we've got some extra armor plates here for some extra detail, spare road wheels, and the front of the hull.
Impressive knowledge at that speed.
However,
I've spent too much time with John. I'm actually surprised he's not here today, but oh well.
Yeah. However, Konflikt 47 being Konflikt 47, you have the full Panzer IV there. You can make it with the standard turret if you want to, but there's this little bubble bag here,
Well,
which
let's
may
quickly
be of
run
interest.
through the final sprue,
Okay.
and then we'll get on to the whizzy extra bit that I've... Oh, it's beautiful. Okay, so we've got side shirtsen, turret shirtsen, we've got mounting brackets for your shirtsen. We have many flavors of shirtsen here. I believe this is an air filtration or fire extinguisher system. We then have some lights, another gun mounting. This I'm not quite so sure of. More road wheels, some jerry cans, more brackets, and the other side of your shirtsen.
Exactly.
Right.
Can I reveal my bubbly goodness?
Yes, reveal the bubbly goodness of Germany's
little
might.
bubbly bag here may be of interest.
Yes. For those of you who actually want to, you can build a standard Panzer IV out of that, but
why would you?
You wouldn't want to.
well, it's the one thing I like about this kit, because you can have both variants at the same time, so long as you paint your camo scheme accordingly.
Absolutely.
This, however, is the new weapon system, which I love the idea of this, because the only thing that changes on this tank to bring it into Konflikt 47 is this turret. Now, what exactly is this weapon? Because it looks deadly.
This is the Schwerfeld projector, I believe it's pronounced.
Spearfield
And
projector,
again,
okay.
as you say, no conversion required. There's a little pin on the bottom there that mounts it in exactly as with a regular turret. So what does it do in game, Mr. Chesney?
Well, it's an anti-gravity weapon of sorts. So it takes the whatever mass is in front of it, rattles it around a bit, and uses it against itself. So the bigger and heavier the object, the more powerful it becomes.
Right.
So it does work against infantry.
Yeah.
But also, obviously, the more armour a vehicle has, I believe if it's 8 or 9, it gets an extra 1 on top of its +4 penetration.
Okay.
And if it's a 10 plus vehicle, it gets an extra 2. So you're on a +6.
Now, this is an idea I like, because it's different from most weapons. Because most times you'll see, oh look, I have a super heavy anti-tank gun. I can kill big stuff. And guess what? I can kill small stuff really easily. This is sort of a nice flat level playing field all the way across, which sounds good. You know, but I love the idea that you can make both out of this, because, you know, if you want, you can just, you know, trade one for the other.
Yeah, it's like a 30 or 40 point upgrade on the standard vehicle. So sometimes you're going to want to use it. Other times, you know, that's the great thing about bolt action. And then on Konflikt 47, the way that the points they equalise around, and you really do have to pick and choose depending on what your opponent's going to take or what you want to use that day. So.
Okay, quick question: can I buy this on its own to upgrade some of my Panzer IVs?
At the moment, no. It's being made specifically to go with the box set. And we're making enough of them.
Yeah.
Then there will be a Panzer IV sold separately with the turret.
And
then eventually, once we've got through and put, you know, the fives of tens of thousands of those around the world, that will be when we go back to supply everybody else that's already got them.
I see. Okay, well, very, very cool. I love the idea of having a gravity cannon on a Panzer IV.
Exactly.
And why not? Who wouldn't want it?
Of course, why not? Of course, why not? Okay, so what's next?
Should we move on to something a little bit more standard? Let's go back and go back to more exciting things later, I suppose. So this
Go back to 1944.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So this is, you may have seen before again.
If I'm correct, I believe this is the standard Grenadier sprue that we all know and love.
It is.
So we're going to have some regular infantry, because how do you really upgrade a man to be Weird World War, aside from doing some very strange and horrible experiments to him? But you've got all your options in here, so you could make these for your bolt action army and have them, you know, sort of interchangeable and play both games at the same time, which I really love the idea of. You've got all the fantastic weapons that the Germans had, so MG42s, MP44s, MP40s, and just, oh yeah, of course, the Panzerfaust.
Yeah,
I love Panzerfaust.
Yeah.
Always a good time in a can. Whenever John rolls up with his armor, it's just like, oh, by the way, I'm hiding in a hedge. Panzerfaust!
Yeah, exactly. And again, it's one of our most recently produced plastic sprues, so we've taken on board a lot of community feedback, and so you've got a lot of weapons, mounted arms already, so you haven't got to do the fiddly moving around.
That was one thing that I personally never had real issue with, because the way I always did it was I mounted gun to the trigger hand first.
Yep.
Got that on the shoulder and then set the other to match, but I know a lot of people had issues with it, so it is nice to see that you revisited that and listened to people.
Yeah.
And there are some options. There are some open hands on there for the variations and stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, in this case, there's 24 Grenadiers.
Yeah.
So 4 sprues of 6 guys. There's plenty you can do with them. You can make your HQ options. You can make specialist weapon teams.
Yeah.
Support teams are in there. And like you said, the variations in the heads alone allow you to have you know, different and there's a lot of them wearing Zeltbahn, so if you want to use them as SS, you can. If you want to use them as regular hero, you can. You know, the options are
with the
pretty.
Zeltbahns on there, you could possibly also use them as Fallschirmjäger if you know how to do the scheme.
Yeah, I mean, this late in the war, don't forget, we're now representing 47, so perhaps the the advancements for the regular army, the regular infantry, wouldn't have been,
they wouldn't have prioritized. Yeah.
Exactly. So whatever they had in 44, 45 would have been continued for a couple of years. So yeah, absolutely, Delt Barnes would have been given out to everybody, and regular Fallschirmjäger, SS, whatever, they all would have been wearing.
Yeah. Now we do get quite a few of those sprues in the box. I believe it's how many? 4 of those sprues.
Yeah.
All the bases you're going to need.
Absolutely.
Okay, so what's next?
I thought you might go for that.
Oh, hello.
Go on.
Oh.
Go on, I'll let you.
Oh, this is my favorite model out of the entire kit. So, everybody knows I love mechs. I love mechs, quite simply. And we have, for the Germans, a wonderful little spider mech. So, it's a little open-topped thing, and if I remember correctly, this actually sort of echoes one of the anti-aircraft pieces they had for a turret.
Absolutely.
But you've got the main little body, and then these little spider legs for it to skitter about. Now, walkers in this game, how do they work? And I can see, actually, you've got 2 weapon options here for it as well. But that's something I'm curious about. Walkers in this world, how do they really, sort of play against stuff? Because it's a very different type of vehicle.
They fall slightly in between infantry and tanks, obviously. They walk around and use the terrain as if they were infantry, basically. The only obstacles that are designed to stop walkers will stop walkers, so that they can hop over walls and things like that.
Yeah. Well, I'm assuming this can't crash into your front living room, no?
Exactly. No, definitely can't go into buildings. So yeah, that's where it crosses over into the vehicle side of it because of the size. Now they can engage other vehicles in combat, and if some of the other walkers, the American ones, for example, have fists. Huge fighting fists on them, but I'm sure we'll see those later. Yeah. Whereas the German one concentrates a bit more on its agility. It's got a light anti-tank gun and a light automatic cannon on that one. So real good options for taking out light vehicles and dancing around. And it's pretty reasonable on its points. It's under 100 points for that.
Yeah. Well, honestly, the first thing that jumps out at me when you say that, this is going to be a recce vehicle hunter.
Yeah.
I'm going to have this running up the flanks to just annoy the hell out of my mate with his little Daimlers or whatever.
Yeah. And this being a light mech, it takes up the armored car slot in your force, so you can still take a tank alongside this as well.
So that's how you're doing it. I was actually wondering if you were going to create a new slot for the mechs.
No.
They fall into, depending on what category of walker they are, or mech, they'll fall into different categories. But,
so I'll assume with this taking up the armored car slot, if I had a German heavy mech, I'm guessing that would take up my tank slot?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay.
Simple as that. I mean, and again, then it's repeatable by platoon like they normally are. Obviously, if you're taking too many mechs, you're going to run out of points pretty quickly. But with this particular one, really, really good choice to have in any force.
All right, well, let's put the little mech out of the way. Oh, I forgot one thing. There is a little commander in here as well.
You've got to have a closer look at that.
Yeah. Just because you have to have someone driving your little spider mech laughing maniacally as he stomps on allied troops. I'm maybe getting into this just a smidge too much.
A little bit, yes.
Okay, what else do we have, Rich?
The last unit we have in the box is the Totem Corps. So these are reanimated German soldiers.
We're talking German zombies?
Yeah, Death Squad.
Talking German zombies, yes.
Well, not exactly Death Squad, Dead Squad.
Dead Squad, yeah. I mean, technically speaking, then they're not just zombies. These guys are the elite playthings. All of the top SS commanders and that will get their ultimate bad guys, all pumped full of different chemicals and things, and then reanimated onto the battlefield to basically scare the hell out of it. It's the ultimate meat shield.
Well, you see, it's the one thing I was
horror
wondering.
everywhere they go.
I mean, I'm looking at these guys. I get they're undead. I get they're a little bit mindless. So I'm assuming no ranged weaponry from them. I expect them just to be shuffling up the board. Yeah,
they count as basically inexperienced infantry. They are slow as well, but they do emit this aura of horror, basically. So it's -1 leadership, friend and foe. Because obviously regular infantry don't like being around this weird occult. Strange weapons.
Now, I'll assume these are fully under your control. You're not going to have a moment where you foobar and these guys munch on your own men.
No, absolutely not. But they do die rather quickly. So you use them wisely as quickly as possible, even though they are slow. So you've got to be quite careful with your placement of these.
I wonder if I can load these into a transport. No,
I can't see why not.
Yeah. It is worth noting.
Have them on the back of a van.
I'm going to have a look and see if I can do a corpse wagon tactic. Where I have a Hanomag blitzing up the field to dump these off and then run away.
Yeah, nice. As it is worth noting, you get 8 in the start set here, but you can have units of up to, I think it's 24 at a time.
Yeah, wow.
So that's quite a hefty chunk of...
Yeah.
Need a big truck for that.
Yeah.
I'm sure I can find a couple wagon or something to jam them into. Just get a crowbar. All right, so that's all the units from the box.
It is.
I like the idea because you've got that nice mix of, you still have stuff that feels World War II, so those players who are, dead set into their bolt action can still have that World War II feel, but they can understand where stuff's going. It's not just all of a sudden, a mad scientist did it.
Yeah,
It
absolutely.
makes a little sense.
Yeah.
So is there anything else in the box here we should know about, Rich?
Absolutely. Well, I say it's a starter set, so we've included everything that you need to get started with. So you've got the quick reference guide with even the ruler on there as well. We've got a pack of dice here, which includes both order dice for all your units and D6 as well.
Nice. Always handy to have these because it gives you just that instant moment of, okay, I'm up and running. I'm not having to write down on bits of paper and then do this.
Exactly. We've then got pin markers, which we've taken from a previous starter set.
Now these I quite like because they're very cool and they're very clear.
Yes.
The one thing I would say is, if I can find this, you see on these, what we actually did with our own set was we actually painted the numbers with just a little smidge of white just to make it a little bit easier to see.
It's a great idea.
They are really fantastic, and let's admit it looks fun, and these are really easy to use and not confused, because if you're counting with dice you might pick it up by accident.
Exactly.
This, you're not going to mistake what it is.
Yep.
Okay, anything else in
We
there?
then come down, we've got a decal sheet here for the walkers.
Now, is this Weird World War or is this true historical decals?
This is true historical at the
Yeah,
moment.
that's the Panther 4.
Yeah.
Panther. We are
I see.
going to be looking at that. Obviously, going forward, this is an expanding range. And
Yeah.
This is just the tip of the iceberg, quite
Yeah,
literally.
yeah.
And it's probably worth giving a shout out to Chris, Russ, and H, who are the creative team of Clockwork Goblin behind the entire project. And they have so many ideas. They would probably, burst with excitement if we were able to talk about all of them. But yeah, look to the future for all sorts of cool stuff.
All right, well, I'll tell you what, guys, we're going to take a quick break here because the guys have actually brought across the built and painted versions of these from the studio. So I want to get a quick look at them under camera, so we'll be right back. Okay, guys, we're back. We have the built and painted versions of these. Okay, I'm going to start with my favorite. I'm seeing it sitting on the table, and it's just me going, oh my god, it's so cute. I need like 5 of these.
Well, 5 you may have.
Look at this little guy. This has got to be the coolest little spider mech I've ever seen. It's fantastic. And I love the look of the little commander just sitting on top. I just imagine him going, okay, I'm really going too far with this.
I might now have to convert one that's got a little Justin head, and so you're roundabout in a little spider
I
mech.
actually have 28mm versions of my head that got cast up.
Oh, dear.
A couple of guys actually sculpted it. And
With and without beard, or?
no, with beard.
Okay,
with beard.
okay. You can scrape it off.
Yeah,
that's fine.
I'll show you them. I'll show you them later because they are hilarious. They also did Warrens as well. But no, it looks fantastic. I think this is going to look really cool whenever you see a full table's worth of this kind of stuff just laid out, because it still feels World War II, if that makes sense to you. It doesn't feel as if, oh no, we're into the realms of complete fantasy right now. This looks like something Germany would have engineered to be a fighting machine and actually have thought it was a great idea.
Yeah, believable tech is a big part of selling this entire concept of, it's only 2 years into the future. There's 3 or 4 years of development for some of this stuff, but it's 2 years further into the future than we've actually already touched on with the real World War II.
Yeah.
And in this case, you really have to believe that some of the weapons and some of the technology wouldn't have advanced. They're too busy with all this weird sci-fi stuff.
Well,
and
like,
fighting a war. They're running out of resource at points.
well, it's not even running out of resources. It's rushing through those prototypes as well.
Absolutely.
Yes.
'Cause it's one thing I've discussed with people a few times is that as soon as you hit an actual live-fire war sort of scenario, suddenly all those things that you think, oh, I've got maybe 3 years to work on this. No, I need it in 6 months. I need it battle ready, go.
Yeah.
All of a sudden the pressure's just there, and it's in that pressure cooker that you get the insane things that actually work. Like some of the weapons that they came up during World War II are just absolutely,
They're out there. You wouldn't believe that some of them exist.
Yeah, well, you've got the bat bomb, which was, they actually dropped a bomb filled with bats. Unfortunately, well, the bats had bombs attached to them, and they assumed they would fly into the eaves of the local area, blow up, and cause a bit of mayhem. Unfortunately, the bats escaped in the testing area with live bombs on them. This was not fun. You then had the Catherine wheel, which was a clearance thing that they were thinking of using for D-Day.
Yes.
So think 2 big massive wheels with rockets on the side, spinning up the beach. This is not a good plan. What is a good plan, however, is this. The Panzer IV with the new turret actually really works quite well. It looks as if, yes, I can understand how they've now just retrofitted this onto the top of it. It is not anything new from the waist down, but on top, you want to get out of the way of this thing as quickly as you can if it's shooting at you.
Exactly. It's what they did in real life. Is they took existing chassis and they upgunned them and they used different engineering variants, that kind of thing. So this is the Panzer IV X with the Schwerfeld launcher, I believe it's called, or Schwerfeld projector. It's a stunning
And again,
piece.
it has that feel of it's a believable piece of tech.
Yes.
You know, you can imagine a field engineer ripping off an old turret with this sitting in its packing crate, ready to be opened and just dropped in.
Exactly.
Right, gents, you ready to go? Go kill the allies. Off you go.
But then, as you say, this is believable enough. But again, with Konflikt 47, you can go completely the other way. We've got all sorts of things coming out. There are horrors of all sorts of things. And if we could tell you all about them, you go crazy.
You see,
Beasties, yeah.
I've seen John pottering around the office looking at these. Now, John is a big proponent of going, nope, I like my World War II. I like my World War II as is. But he's been looking at these going, I can see how they'd engineer that. Yeah.
Well,
So I think
if he can buy
when
into
they
it, then
convert him,
anybody can. Yeah, definitely. Well, the really good thing about all of this is you can just use your bolt action army. You can, if you want to, not indulge yourself in any of the weird sci-fi tech, and just stick to a straight force. Now, it may be the case that you guys play a couple of games of Konflikt, and you have a few mechs and things that because you will, and he doesn't, and then sooner rather than later, he's bound to grasp some of the bits and pieces come through, especially for the British.
It's that friendly arms race that you always have when you're playing games. I always describe it as an arms race because you look across the table and you go, oh, he brought artillery. How do I beat that? Okay, I need something very fast and very nasty. Aha, I know what I'm going to do. And then you move from there.
Yeah, exactly.
So the other things we've got here, if I gently send these
very
out of the way.
nasty, but not quite so fast.
Yeah, I will bring some of our basic infantry in because these are your studio painted ones, yeah?
Yes.
They look absolutely brilliant, but it's like you say, your standard guy is still your standard guy, and the regular army might not be getting all of the upgrades that the other guys are getting, but you would expect eventually, it is going to filter down. That technology is going to become, smaller, more adaptable, things like that. So for your regular guys, you're getting 24 of these in the box, you said. So
Absolutely, yeah, 24. So and that you can see just from that small grouping of 5 guys how different the poses and the equipment can be. You can really load them up, and especially again 47, they would have put as much equipment on them as possible. And put them out there. But you can have HQ sections, snipers, MG sections, Panzerfaust, medics. The sky's the limit, really.
Yeah, it's the one thing I do have to say. If I'm getting this set, I'm obviously going to build my lieutenant. I'm obviously going to build a forward observer, because why wouldn't you? I'm obviously going to build a medic, again, because why wouldn't you? I'm then going to build my 2 squads, and I'll possibly leave 1 man out of the squads to perhaps do a sniper team, because sniper teams are just handy. So there is a lot of flexibility in this box as well. The last thing that comes in this box, and I think it's one of my favorite things, because who doesn't love, undead Germans slowly shambling up the field, ready to, munch, nom, nom, nom.
They're a suitably dark colour scheme with these guys. They're really quite imposing when you see a horde of them on the table.
Well, it's the one thing I would think, whenever I'm actually sitting down to paint these, it's going to be all dirt and grime. These are not, the parade-ready German officers and, infantrymen. These are the poor sods who have been taken into a laboratory, given an experimental serum to hopefully make them into super soldiers, and whoops, well, send them forward.
Next, I can imagine somebody doing a diorama of trying to herd these things down a parade line and see if you can, cattle prod them forward. You have a whole herd of them.
Okay, that I want to see.
Okay, there we go. There's a challenge for somebody out there.
Oh no, challenge for you.
Here
Your
we go.
idea, it's
Done.
your job.
I'm on it.
I'm kidding. But no, it's a fantastic starter set. There's a lot of flexibility in there, and I like the idea that I can just fold this directly into my World War II forces. So if I've already got a bolt action army, I buy this, and it's an expansion more than anything. So I'm saying, okay, I can still play all my World War II. I can stay in my historical box, be happy in my historical box. But if I'm feeling a little bit frisky, I can step out and do some weird and funky stuff.
Exactly, and say if you are starting afresh, you've got everything you need in the box, from dice, rules, that kind of thing. Your command squad, your full squads. You've got a little bit extra special stuff here as well. So it's everything you need to get playing with quite a potent force as well, I've found so far.
I mean, at a basic level, it's over 650, 700 points. I mean, if you go for all the things like you were saying earlier, the observer and the Panzerfaust all over the place, you can probably push that way above 800-900 points with veteran status and things like that. So the flexibility is there for a full force. You don't. It's not a tiny amount of stuff.
No, this is a very, very good, very well thought out starter set. So I'll tell you what, we'll call it at that, gents. Thank you very much for showing off the Germans for Konflikt 47. Guys, drop your comments below. What do you think? Do you like it? I know I sure as hell do. We'll move on. We'll see you in the next video.
Thank you.
Keep your blaster handy. The West is a dangerous place. Fight to survive as men turn to monsters and the dead rise on the Wild West Exodus Hub at beastsofwar.com. Enter into the dangerous dungeons of myth as a mighty hero and stand against the darkness. Visit the Myth Hub on beastsofwar.com and begin your story.